For centuries, Alderaan stood as a beacon of hope in the Republic. The Empire came.
I have chosen to test this station's destructive power on your home planet of Alderaan.
Peace while you suffer. The Emperor drowns you in black waters.
He wants me to be Darth Revan again. Serve him as I did centuries ago. He made me a Sith Lord and named me Darth Revan.
The Force does not control you. You saved Ugantian using something you thought was hard. But your motives are still aligned with the Jedi Code.
To arms, men! Defend the throne!
Anakin Skywalker was weak. I destroyed him. He was weak and foolish, like his father. So I destroyed him.
Master Windu, you have fought gallantly. Worthy of recognition in the archives of the Jedi. It is finished.
To them it is.
I have been waiting for you. Is it true that he is the chosen one?
Hey, and welcome back to State of the Galaxy. My name's Alex,
My name's Harrison, how's it going?
and today, I know we covered this a bit last episode, but we're going to talk a bit more about two guys in the non-canon Star Wars universe that are becoming quite big favourites of mine, and that is Tag and Bink. And I've covered a bit more of their comic series. I don't think I'm even halfway through yet, but I wanted to go through some of the core situations where they link up the Star Wars canon, which I think is quite cool. I think I've covered a few of them. So they were the ones in one of them was in one of the TIE fighters that Han follows to the Death Star, because they were attempting to escape the Death Star, and then ended up coming back. They are the troopers that were guarding the tractor beam, because they were reassigned there, and let Obi-Wan essentially release the Millennium Falcon. They are the two TIE fighter pilots that come with Lord Vader, or they were meant to be, but then the issue misleads us, and they were actually stealing the Imperial shuttle that becomes the shuttle Tidarium. Because they never specify in the film how they actually get that. They just say they've stolen an Imperial shuttle. And they also find Chewie's medal on Yavin 4, and that's where they encounter Boba Fett as well. They are the troopers that blast C-3PO on Cloud City, because C-3PO got them caught on the Tantive. Lando has a weird kind of thing that I just saw in the background, that Lando has a signed poster from Mace Windu on his wall, which I thought was quite cool.
There's only a couple black guys in Star Wars.
Exactly. Lando originally wanted Leia and Chewie to be taken to Mon Calamari, which I thought was quite cool, and he specified that they were allies there. I suppose he was talking about Admiral Akbar and his...
Yeah, Mon Mothma's from there as well.
Yeah.
I think he's just Mon Calamari.
And in an attempt to save Leia and Chewie, during the point of when Han's being put into the carbon freezing chamber, they reach out to Chewie, but then Chewie, as they're dressed up as stormtroopers, he ends up knocking them both down.
There was me thinking he's going to say rip one of their arms off.
No. There's also quite a bit of cool stuff. I'm still yet to write some of this up, but they end up on Tatooine, and one of them's dressed as a Gamora with like the Lando helmet, and the other one, because they encounter Boba Fett on Tatooine, they trick him. They steal his armor, so the Boba Fett that fell into the Sarlacc pit was actually one of them.
That'd be clever.
And one of them's the one that shoots Luke in the hand, because he was actually aiming for the lightsaber and annoys Luke.
You'd think Boba Fett would have more than one suit laying about though.
Oh, also something that I found quite funny was that they were after, because remember, okay, I was going to do the reveal too early then. So they encountered someone called Bothran, and he has the plans or info about the second Death Star, but he died. So it turns out that his name is like Bothram. I think it's like Both and then Botharans, So when he says his Bothrons is dead, then Mon Mothma says Bothrons died to bring us this information. She was talking about a singular person as opposed to
not Both fans.
As opposed to a group of people.
Both spies.
Um,
But then she says
no, because
says
his name's Manny.
Yeah, she says many Bothran spies died.
Yeah, so it's the way that she's pronouncing it, but his name's actually like Many Bothrons. But yeah, so I thought that was quite a nice little. Obviously, none of it's canon, but I thought that was quite.
It's quite quirky as well.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to find out more and see how else it links the Star Wars canon altogether. So, did you come along with any factoids today or anything you wanted to talk about?
Today I have nothing.
What?
New to add. I paid no mind to Star Wars this week, other than, well, are we doing spoiler casts or no spoilers?
No spoilers still, unfortunately.
I thought we had a month.
We do, yeah.
We've not got past that yet.
No? Solo came out on the 23rd for us in the UK.
It feels like ages.
It hasn't been that long.
No, but a lot's happened.
A lot has happened, yeah, but unfortunately,
Alright,
we still got a little bit of time. So yeah, we did do one spoiler cast, but we won't be touching on Solo within the episodes that will be released up until the 20th, or at least probably around about the 24th of this month, and then we'll start just talking about it.
Cool.
So let's move into our citation needed segment, which I know we haven't been all that loyal with.
Yeah, we've done it. It's not going to be all the time, is it?
Well, we hoped that it'd be at least once every episode, but I suppose it's difficult to come across facts that we need to recover. So our citation needed for this segment is that after after saving a species by Mace Windu, they shed their own crystal element from their body as a thank you, which he then ends up using as his lightsaber kyber crystal.
Oh.
So what do you think about?
Well, I always thought he killed some sort of Sith dark side user and had a blue one already and put them together.
Because he did have a blue one. Well,
that's what I always.
I don't know, because in this version of canon, it is Legends now, and it came out like 15 or so years ago. It was a while ago, but it said that he didn't actually have a lightsaber at this point. So whether the blue lightsaber that we've seen in fan pictures and things like that was just like a training blade,
maybe
because it said that he hadn't built his own, but most Jedi Padawans. I don't know actually, because the ones in the Clone Wars, they didn't have any training blades. They went straight to Ilum. And
training blade seems to be in more in the Old
Republic stuff, like the Vibrant blades.
Maybe that was phased out due to, well, combat need really. I mean, training blade isn't as good as the lightsaber, but
no. So what do you think about that as an idea?
That's interesting. I mean, have you cited?
Yeah, I've worked it out.
Go ahead, throw it out to the class.
Okay, so on a solo mission at the age of 14, he's sent to the planet Hurricane. The council were concerned at this point because he had surpassed many masters, however, had not constructed his own lightsaber. But he's sent to this planet to find the crystal that speaks to him the most.
Right.
He wanted, and I thought this was quite cool, that the comic all kind of incorporated the actual reason behind Samuel Jackson's purple lightsaber is because he just wanted something that made him stand out. So it actually specifies in this comic that Mace Windu wanted something that was a bit more unique.
BMF on it as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. So he encounters these stone creatures and they become his opponent, and when they're chasing him, one of them falls and he ends up fixing him because he lands on the canyon floor and like shatters. And as a gift for fixing his former adversary, he then gifts him some of the crystal element that makes him up.
No?
And then that becomes part of his lightsaber, which I thought was quite cool.
That's quite cool.
Because it's very even in the sense of how he gains the crystal. That's very unique in itself, because it's not like he's gone to Ilum or one of the other naturally occurring kyber crystal locations. He's actually been gifted this from what seems like a sentient being.
Yeah, I mean, if it's smart enough to give it, so I would say sentient.
Yeah. So something that I think I was talking to someone at work about this, and obviously we've got our standalone films at this point, and I don't know about you, but I'm more excited about them than I am about this core trilogy. If you could choose, let's say, to make it a bit more interesting, I don't know whether I think we maybe did cover this when I did my predictions for the standalone films. Obviously, that's kind of gone out the window now with the Solo trilogy and what's happening now with Boba Fett and stuff like that. But if you could have a standalone film, let's do it like this. Okay, so almost like Marry, Sleep with, Kill. You now have 3 choices to assign to 3 characters. So it's either comic book, TV series, film.
Okay.
And you get to choose 3 characters. So choose your 3 characters first of all that you'd like new material on.
Definitely Commander Cody.
Cool.
Because obviously, after Order 66, he trained stormtroopers, so that'd be pretty cool.
Nice.
Bit of that.
Is that new canon or is that old canon?
That is old canon, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, they can
But
always
I think
resurrect
it carried on. I don't
no.
think it's cut. I think that carried on.
Ooh.
A bit about Moff Tarkin, because obviously he's just, when we see him in A New Hope, he's obviously just in charge.
Yeah.
Like,
but there's
how did he become?
I mean, I can't remember whether the Tarkin book is canon. I think it is, because I think it was one of the first that came. Yeah, it is. It's one of the first that came out with the new, when Disney bought the rights. So that's definitely worth a look into, because it's got. I started reading it, and he actually went through a lot of physical trials. But there's like an entire chapter where he's choosing his robes or his uniform that you see him in episode 4. And it's so detailed. It's just like the way that he was wanting the hologram to be positioned and stuff like this. Like, this guy really wanted this to be perfect. He's not faffing about.
And I think the last choice, Star Wars Zombies.
Okay.
Like that. What's the book called?
Death Trooper.
Yeah.
And
like
Red Harvest.
Just because it's an interesting premise.
Yeah.
And zombies are always cool.
No, fair enough. Okay, so what would you like for each one then? So film first of all.
Ooh, so is this film, comic book, TV series, basically?
Yeah. But which one do you want to assign to each one? Which one would you like to see as a film as opposed to a TV?
I think the Zombies would be a better film, because obviously
Cool.
I've seen zombie series and they're a bit...
Yeah, and you could really expand with that. Like, we haven't even specified Nero at this point.
No.
So we cover a fair amount
Zombie
of ground.
TV shows now, it's like, let's make it interesting, kill off a couple characters, zombies aren't relevant anymore.
Yeah, but it
It's
becomes
quite
very
fun.
uninteresting because, like The Walking Dead, it's just kind of like they fight zombies, they find a location, they settle down, they make friends, zombies attack, they run away, and
They
they
find
start
people
all
they
over
don't
again.
like, they get ammo, they move on, and it's like...
It's just a recurring cycle. So at least with a film, you get a solid kind of start, middle, and end if it's done properly.
Yeah.
So fair enough. Yeah. Okay. So TV series.
I think Commander Cody's journal.
Maybe like Stardate. I trained more stormtroopers today. Moff Tarkin was a dick. Vader's still scary.
These
I
recruits
think
are
he might
becoming
be
worse.
Anakin.
I feel a strong connection to someone I once knew.
Yeah,
Hated sand.
I bought him a
Guess
present of
everything.
sand, and he was like he was having some kind of seizure.
I bought him some coloured sand once. Make your own sand
I
statue.
used to love those
He
things.
badged it out of my hands.
Oh,
and then
man.
obviously Tarkin as a comic, because well, I don't think you need a lot of extra.
No, because we've already got the
But-
book.
A small expansion would be alright.
Yeah.
Or a
Okay.
condensation of the actual book that is already around, just to picturise that a bit.
Fair enough. Okay.
Alright,
cool.
now let's flip that over.
Okay.
Comic, TV show, movie.
Okay, so characters first. I would like I would like them to resurrect some of the stuff with Darth Krayt, because he was really cool, because he was like a sand person and he encountered Anakin when he was young, and then when Anakin had the whole thing with Shmi Skywalker, and then he encountered him again, he lashed out with him just because of his association with the Sand People, and then like he went on to create the new Sith Order, and he lived past like Luke's death and stuff like that. So yeah, Darth Krayt. I would like some more stuff on the Gungans. I feel like, because after season 6 of the Clone Wars, Jar Jar's in kind of interesting story arc with Mace Windu. I think there can be more done there in order to make the Gungans less annoying.
Well,
Because
they
I think,
on Mon Calamari as well, didn't they?
yeah.
Clones
So
and
I mean, even then, they're still kind of irritating because they're all kind of Clone Wars children fight. But I think with a more kind of dark and gritty, kind of like stuff with the Gungans minus Jar Jar.
Gungan Mad Max.
I think it could really kind of it could kind of push the blame away from the Gungans as a whole and just kind of force it towards Jar Jar. Which I think if the blame is like a solid entity that needs to go somewhere, I'd prefer it if it were all on Jar Jar as opposed
Just
to
like rounding up people he knows that are secret police style.
as opposed to the Gungans overall. And last of all, I mean, I want to say Revan. I do.
How did I guess this would come up?
I want to say Revan so bad.
I kind of had a feeling.
Yeah, I think it's got to be.
He's going to be the movie, isn't he?
Yeah. Either that or TV series, because we haven't specified whether it would be live action or not.
Well,
I think I would actually prefer him as a
live
TV.
action, I think, would be better.
I think it would be better like a live action TV series because there's so much about Revan and there's so many different factors that he covered, like the stuff with the Mandalorian Wars and the not the mass shadow generator, the Starforge and things like that. There's so many different factors that make up Revan's life, even if you're starting him again.
And obviously the light side stuff as well.
Yeah, exactly. So there's when he got his memory wiped. So I think you'd be able to develop that more if it were, because otherwise it'd be very rushed. It'd be like Avatar: The Last Airbender film or any kind of anime adaptation where they try and really force way too much in.
The Last Airbender combined like 3 series worth of stuff, isn't it?
Well, you say that, but it was actually just one.
Yeah,
It was just the one.
I feel like a lot more.
It was just the one series they did because they didn't even do the giant fish attack on Weird City thing. So they didn't even get anywhere near book 3.
No.
Um,
And obviously when he learns the Fire Nation powers as well.
yeah. So right, okay. So that would be the TV series Revan. I completely forgotten what I did as the other character.
Gungans and...
Gungans and... Did I specify them all?
I can't remember. Don't think you did. I think you only done 2.
I'm sure I did another one.
Mo. Mo. Mo.
Oh no.
Mo.
Balls.
Benoit balls.
I'm so sure I did another one.
Phrasing.
Okay, okay, so the Gungans I think I'd like as a comic book because you could get, like, the Marvel comics have got really kind of dark and gritty and stuff
Well,
like
not a lot
that.
of people like Gungans so much either.
No, and I wouldn't doom the Star Wars franchise even more than it in some ways has already been by introducing a Gungan film because I think that would just get a lot of hate immediately.
What would you even call it? What would you call the Gungan film?
I don't know. All bombard.
The Hunt for Jar Jar. Jar Jar Jones.
Lisa, give you the Underbogon.
Mitsa
As Gideon's way to the Naboo, the planet called.
There's always a bigger fish.
Beautiful. Okay. Wow. I love that.
He's in big trouble.
I almost want to do art for that. Just like Qui-Gon there, like... just like a giant Gungan. Okay, so... And then there's the film... I think I'd say Grievous, actually. Just like his origin story, because it was kind of hinted at that they were resurrecting old canon with the Clone Wars. I know that was that existed around the point when old canon was current canon.
Bit of expansion.
But yeah, I want to know... I would want to see everything leading up to Grievous's transformation into the Grievous that we see live action.
He's obviously part of that warrior race, which I always forget the name of.
And he
becomes cybernetic.
Yeah, and he loses his family,
Yeah.
and that sort of solidifies his hate towards the Republic, but also his dislike towards droids, and he
And
becomes
Jedi as well.
the very thing that he hates, and he has to command a whole
There would be a lot
army.
of emotion there.
I think they would, yeah. They could really make that, and they could really kind of flesh out the character of Grievous. I'm not going to say, because I know loads of people will be like, "Oh, be all manipulating the character of Grievous," because we just had him as kind of like a droid, well, a cyborg who was just kind of very singly minded, collected lightsabers, and went on the attack all the time. But I think he isn't fleshed out enough. I think we need that extra element.
That episode of Clone Wars where he's got that
The-
droid
oh,
that fixes him.
The facility, yeah.
and
Grievous
he's got
is there.
more than one facility. He's got quite a few.
That's the
scattered
only
over
book
the place.
adaptation I've got of that.
I'm pretty sure he's got more than one because he's always running away from the Jedi to other
Yeah,
places,
always into that same ship. I love how they've got one ship.
Yeah, it's like, oh, here's General's
Thank
escape
God
ship.
we got his escape ship, because
Yeah,
he'd
it's
be
like
really
Revenge of the Sith. He
goes into
parks
his
it so
escape.
far away.
Well, he uses an escape pod to get off of his command ship.
No,
doesn't he?
on Utapau.
Yeah, but I know. Yeah, I remember because that's kind of where that
It's
design
like,
came from.
my number ship is in the shop.
I love how that
Utapau.
ship. I love how that ship became one of the classes of ship that you could fly in Battlefront 2.
Yeah, and then they associate it with like the Magna Guard. It's not really got much to do with it. I think they call it the Magna Guard bomber. And
Yeah.
It doesn't even drop bombs really. It's proton torpedoes.
Nah.
I don't know.
But okay, so yeah, I think I'd like a Grievous.
That'd be awesome.
A Grievous.
If it was done properly with someone that knew the background.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, they just calm down before I like
Because I mean, it's already hinted at, so it's not like you're saying you're digging up old canon. Because current canon, it's still hinted at that he had this background where he was this former being. Because Grievous isn't a sentimental person; he wouldn't have statues of someone else
No.
in his lair. This is him because he wants memories of his conquest when he was a better form in quotations.
And his trophy collecting aspect of it was pretty cool as well. Like,
Yeah, I thought it was pretty damn.
he wouldn't just take
pretty damn
lightsabers
rad.
at first; he'd take Jedi braids as well, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Which he sort of stopped doing.
So yeah, no, I definitely agree with it. So moving on a bit from there, because I think this should become kind of like a Star Wars questionnaire, a separate Star Wars questionnaire.
Obviously, we'd have to tweak it, then
Yeah,
slog Mario Void.
Just a little. But I like that
Yeah,
because
but it's like-
it's kind of taking that thing that we find, and that because everyone can engage in that. We've all got answers to that
Star
kind
Wars
of
will
thing.
fight that
But then we
stuff.
Star Wars fights it, and
Comic
it's,
movie TV
and
show.
it's brilliant.
Yeah.
But then, so moving a bit away from that, we've got. I think we've got. I don't want to say we've got a new Battlefront coming out because it seems way too
There's
soon.
games on the way, though, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's stuff being developed.
So if you were to have a game be developed, so it can be any type of game set within any era, following any number of characters. I'm basically giving you full creative reign here. What would it be?
I think a resurrection of the one true Battlefront game.
What is that? Star Wars Battlefront 2?
The very original.
Oh, the very, very original.
That was on PS2 and Xbox.
Well, the first one.
No, that one. That's
That's
on
not the original. There was
that's
one
the
before.
original. No, that's the original Battlefront 2.
Oh, sorry.
That's what I
I
meant,
thought you meant like the original
Battlefront 2.
Battlefront.
Because I feel like the stuff I've heard about the new Battlefront 2.
I mean, the campaign's beautiful. I'd say the campaign in the current one's better than the campaign in that one. Because maybe it's because I'm biased, because I'm not all that fussed about the 501st.
Yeah, I really like the 501st.
I'm not going to say it's bad. It's really, really good. But the one at the moment, I think it kind of fleshes out the Empire and what they did and choices that had to be made with each individual trooper. And then if you read the book as well, it fleshes out even more. So yeah, I enjoy that a bit more. I think it's maybe because it's following one character that you can kind of relate to as opposed to a group of clones.
Yeah.
But
But that was good to flesh out some of the lesser known characters, like a random clone.
yeah,
You didn't find out his name.
yeah, fair,
like-
fair.
That sort of depth of emotion was
So-
interesting.
So you would want a recreation of Battlefront 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think for me, I still really want a free roam game. I think if everyone kind of I know it's merging a lot of games this would be like making the ultimate salad, but not knowing if all these things mix together. So I would want a free roam game that incorporates elements of things like No Man's Sky, and I can't remember if it's like Justice League free roam game. It was like an online.
Oh, that was just, yeah, that was cool. But I know what you mean.
And then the Old Republic and elements of RuneScape and things like that, World of Warcraft. But just something where you're able to explore these, because I feel like that's something that you don't really get to do. And games are getting so pretty now. I find myself standing there looking at scenery, so much so that I either get shot or the objective
So you
fails.
want like a Skyrim type stuff.
I want a Skyrim-like game because you still go out there and you still complete objectives. So you
Yeah.
stand around for a bit and just appreciate the scenery.
I mean, you could easily have a ship and go to other planets.
Exactly. So you don't have to have an entire game where you have to take off, you have to go through the atmosphere, you have to go into space. You can
No,
play it
it's like
exactly like
fast
one of
travel.
the original Battlefront PSP games, where from space to land it's just like a short pause, and then you're in that new area. So yeah, I think I'd really.
Still, like, while it's fast traveling, loading, all that, and then you'd appear in another world.
I mean, I'd appreciate the Skyrim loading times being faster if we're using Skyrim as a comparison here, because I really hate how long that takes. Just going into a room, I hate because my Xbox got so bad, my one at Dad's. I would be skeptical about going into houses because it would take a solid 2 minutes to load, and I'd get into a house and it'd be made up of a tiny room. And right, so I have to now raid this room. I have to make the most of being in this room. So then when I leave, I am then less annoyed by this further 2 minutes of reload time.
Yeah. And it's like, you probably heard me talk about it's going to death.
Yeah.
God of War.
Yeah.
It's a complete playthrough. There's no loading screens. There's no story
Oh
cuts.
wow, that must be pretty.
It was nice. You can go into rooms, and it's like there's no hassle.
That must
So-
be nice.
To have that in like a game like Skyrim, it's like what could have been and what turned out. You know, considering how long, like simpler thing you would expect a character to open a door, And the rooms, there's not even really that much in the room. Some of the rooms, like some of the inns and taverns in Skyrim, it's not really a lot to generate. It's only like a couple little rooms and a bar counter, really, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what takes it so long some of the time. Like, literally, like I said, a tiny room.
Xbox, that's what I think.
Yeah, I suppose my Xbox and my dad's really on its way out.
If it was an Xbox One, it might be different because it's like smarter computer parts, isn't it? But
yeah. Okay, so let's try and do this. So similar to what we said about the kill, marry, and sleep with kind of thing, except you have 3 types of games and then 3 eras to assign to those games.
Okay, so how about tabletop game, mini console game, and role playing game?
So what would be
like D&D type style game?
No, not like a. I'm not saying like different types of games.
That'd be cool though.
That'd be cool, but that's going for past.
Yeah, I mean, if they hear us.
We don't be giving Disney too many of those ideas.
We don't want to see.
We want to develop some of that stuff ourselves. But no. So what I mean by that is like, so RPG, and then first-person shooter, and then what's another type of game?
I'd say like a fighting game would be interesting, but it would be lightsabers. And you'd always
but then it would just be like the first-person shooter kind of thing. Yeah. So first-person shooter and lightsaber combat, RPG, and then VR. And then the 3 eras are Old Republic, Clone Wars, Naboo Crisis through to Clone Wars, and then Empire, and we don't give a damn about this new trilogy.
No, I can deal with that. Do you want to go first this time?
No, you go first this time. I've got
Alright,
thinking to do.
VR would have to be Empire.
Maybe specify why. What would you want to see in VR?
I just think it'd be cool to run around as a stormtrooper killing rebels.
Yeah,
they just deserve to be shot.
Yeah.
Rebelling against the existing government and not winning politically is not good. And then obviously I think I'd pick the Clone Wars. That'd be a really good fit. If that was done as a proper first-person shooter, like you're a clone going through a battle and obviously you don't die and respawn like Battlefront, you literally continue till it's over and go through campaigns and stuff, that'd be cool. Like a sort of Call of Duty style Clone Wars game, where there's a lot of enemies and there's a lot of people on your side as well, running around. Not online, like a full-on story by yourself game. And then Old Republic I think would be a good RPG. Yeah. Because there's a lot of stuff there, there's so much you could do. It would be Skyrimified, you could do side quests and stuff that would last like hours upon hours of extra content. And they could eventually do like DLCs like Skyrim as well.
No, fair play.
That'd be cool.
Cool. So you covered all of those. Yeah.
Go on, take your move.
So VR for me, I think would be. I think it probably would be Galactic Empire, so I could fly around in an X-wing, do the trench run.
Yeah.
Or maybe or even better, the attack on the second Death Star, bit in VR, so you get that full kind of like cockpit experience. Because I enjoy games where you don't have to move around in VR, because I hate accidentally punching walls. So if you were just sitting there just looking around like, there's a TIE fighter, I can see it and stuff. I think that was something that I loved, kind of small, tiny spoiler for Solo, but where you saw a different shot that wasn't just looking through the cockpit from behind them. You got that shot of where the TIE fighter was slowly coming into view, and then Han Solo did like kind of the roll of the Falcon to smash it against the rock. I figured that out actually. I was right. The last TIE fighter to go down is the TIE fighter, the special TIE fighter.
Yeah, I thought so.
Anyway, so so that one is the VR. Then Clone Wars / Naboo Crisis, I think I would do as the first person shooter, just so that you could do like Jedi training and stuff like that, and then you could do all the stuff with the Clone Wars, Geonosian Arena, stuff like that, and then like you say, RPG for you did say RPG for Old Republic. Yeah.
So we've basically done the same in a way.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think I want more games that aren't Battlefront.
Yeah, I mean a Battlefront style game would be cool, but it's all like transactions and multiplayer stuff. It's like there's no single player focus anymore. It'd be nice to have that as well. Just massive battles going against stuff would be cool. I mean, by all means, co-op campaign would be good as well, but...
Yeah, I mean, will they ever bring back that multiplayer experience where we're sitting at home playing together?
No, it's mostly gone out the window, really, isn't it? Now?
Yeah, I think multiplayer, or I suppose system link,
evolved
is
like
dead now, which is a real shame because that was kind of like the old retro thing. I can really remember. I mean, we've done it recently, haven't we? When Matt used to be in his old place, we'd take our Xbox controllers and we'd play some Battlefront, mess about on that.
Yeah, like taking a controller around someone's house and playing on the same TV is a nice experience.
It is, yeah. I think it.
A need anymore.
No.
We've all evolved and got our own fancy stuff now, so
Yeah.
yeah.
I do miss it though. It's sad. It is sad.
I'll give time.
Yeah, we were on 29 minutes. Got a minute. What do you want to say in this minute? It's a minute of amazingness.
Oh, got it.
You've been so many episodes without saying it.
I know, I thought I might as well bring it back.
Jeez.
I was trying to do it every episode, but I thought it'd get a bit tedious.
That's right.
It's such a minor character. It's like just some weird squid thing that can read minds and mostly drive people insane.
I've recently been rewatching some old podcast series from the very beginning, and they tend to be ones that were kickstarted around the time of the Force of Disney buying
the dark times
before the Empire, Disney's purchase of Lucas, and then the announcement of the Force Awakens and stuff like that. And it's really odd to see the kind of expectations and what people might think were going to happen, because obviously we knew that old canon had been torn down by that point, but we didn't. Lots of people are still really holding on to that kind of old canon stuff and
I
thinking
still
that
really
they bring
don't
it
know
back.
why they cut off so much stuff.
Because a lot of it did clash with each other, so there were characters that may have been on different missions and characters that may have been dead and
Just
then alive.
filmified the canon that we had.
But it was a
Oh,
lot
it's
to
really
get
cool.
through. You'd need someone who really knew that stuff. I know there are people out there, but you need a team who's aware of it. And I think that was what was so easy about The Force Awakens, where they could just be like, we don't really need to know much. I mean, how much of old lore really made it into The Force Awakens? Very little. How much would you have need to have known? That the Empire was being redone into the First Order. Here's a couple of pictures of the Empire. The Millennium Falcon's still around. Here's the picture of the Millennium Falcon.
As well.
Everyone's aged correctly, so just grab the big three, and create some new characters and have them go off on this mission. I think maybe that's why the new trilogy is not doing as well as it could be, simply because there aren't people that know enough.
They're just getting rid of, obviously, Carrie Fisher. They can't really help but get rid of because she died. But Han Solo, man. They just get rid of people we like, although he didn't want to be in any more films, understandably. He's been in Star Wars for since the 70s. That's a long last time.
Yeah.
What time did some people have been alive? Which is obviously time, but just the way he went out. He could have just retired or something and been around.
No one gets out of Star Wars and dies of old age. It just doesn't
It's like
happen.
Game of Thrones, it only happens once.
Like
No,
Yoda, I think
twice,
Yoda
really.
was the only one who died of old age.
Because in Game of Thrones you've got Old Nan and Mace Raymond. They're the only people that die of old age.
Yeah, and I suppose you could argue that Yoda dies from his exhaustion of the Force.
So he's 900 years old as well. Give the guy a break.
So he
Long time.
yeah, I don't.
I mean, they've done this whole new through Finn, Rey, and Poe, which is pretty cool. But it's you're getting rid of our old ones to replace them with new ones, which just isn't as good.
Well, they've kind of got to, because I can understand making a new Star Wars trilogy that's bringing in a newer audience. Therefore, you need new characters, so it's a new start for them. So they don't necessarily have to go back and watch these older films.
Yeah.
I just think it could have been. I mean, I'm going to say this until I'm blue in the face. I think it could have been done differently, and I have a very clear vision of how I would have wanted it.
Yeah.
But I think we all do, as Star Wars fans. We all have an idea of how we wanted it to be, and that's probably why there's been such a horrible backlash.
Yeah.
It's expectation meets reality. Doesn't always work out the way that we wanted. But anyway, we'll finish up this episode of State of the Galaxy. So thank you very much, Harrison, for joining me once again.
No worries, bro.
So I don't know where we're going to be next week in terms of date. But hopefully we'll be very close, if not there almost.
It's the 22nd next week, so...
Well, on Wednesday.
Oh no, on Friday next week.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Wednesday's the 21st.
Okay, so not next week, but the week after. The week after we will be fully spoiler free.
Yeah, mate.
So when I say we'll be spoiler free, we'll be able to talk about it.
Good, because there's a lot I want to say.
Hopefully we'll have our old guests back on as well to talk about Solo. There's a couple of people from work that I really want to get onto the podcast, probably because they like Star Wars, but then I suppose they would probably label themselves as not being as clued up. But I prefer to label it as that they have a casual look at Star Wars.
They're like Padawans against the Masters that is us.
Well, yeah, but then it labels us as being like better, and that's not good.
No, as in like a knowledge scale, like the amount they know. They're like.
But at the same time, I think a casual look at Star Wars is very kind of different because they look at it as a kind of as the films, and then that's it. And they can appreciate that raw content for what it is, but with us, we're sitting here like, oh, the Old Republic. We're so butthurt about it, and we're so sad that it's not happening. And here's all the stuff we want to happen. Whereas with them, they're just kind of like, here's all the stuff that is happening. Some of it's bad, some of it's good, but we have nothing else to compare it to. And I think I kind of envy them for that just a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they don't have what could have been. Because they just don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll finish up this episode of the podcast. So whether you are Jedi or Sith, whether you're Empire or Rebels, whether you are First Order or Resistance, CIS, or the Galactic Republic, we hope you have a very good day, night, evening, whatever you're doing. May the Force be with you, and we'll see you guys next week.
Adios, amigos.